Welcome to another edition of Sideline Sports, joined by John and Jake. How's everybody doing tonight?
Doing well. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. Well, I'm doing pretty well. I'm excited. I have a lot to talk about tonight.
Before we start, neither of you know this was going to happen. I'm hijacking your little intro, JB. Last week, I told you I had a Wawa Hoagie Fest shirt because I said Wawa's like the best, of those places to get some food, and I loved it. And I promised you I would get my shirt. And so I went through my clothes this week, and we found my Wawa Hoagie Fest shirt, 2015. As I told you I had, just wanted to bring that up. For anybody that remembers last week, I said I had a shirt, and I would go find it. Happened to have found it.
But it's tie-dye.
Of course.
Sweet.
It's great.
I'm scared. John, where's your tie-dye shirt, John?
I've never had a tie-dye shirt in my life, to be honest. Never had one.
You see, John was the one I expected with a tie-dye shirt. So that's where this whole twist comes into play.
He's scared, and it's not from me.
I'm full of surprises.
So let's start with some NBA. So we got the play-in games. So the first game's going on right now, and it's not really much of a game. We got the Charlotte Hornets down by 32 points with 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter against the Pacers. So far, this just doesn't seem like it's any fun. Did Charlotte just not show up, or is Indiana that much better? I
think it's a combination of both, honestly, at that point. But I don't know. I think part of the problem is that you got Charlotte led by LaMelo, and he's a rookie. I mean, he has no experience. I think that's kind of a problem they're running into is, lack of experience is going to hurt them. And not that the Pacers got much, but I guess they have a little bit more, in that department.
The Pacers are all banged up. I mean, the Hornets were actually playing pretty decent ball a couple weeks ago, and then they just fell all the way to the 10th spot. And I don't know what happened with the Hornets. I mean, they were playing pretty decent, and then they just fell off a cliff. And I was surprised they were getting blown out in this game. It makes no sense. They're the better team, in my opinion, than Indiana. I don't think Indiana is good at all. I think the Hornets have a little bit. They have some talent, and I'm surprised they're actually getting blown out. I thought it would be a close game. So
yeah, I don't know. I didn't expect this either. I have to agree.
But the way it works is whoever wins this will play the loser of Celtics, Wizards, and then the winner of that will advance.
It doesn't really matter yet because this team's got to win 2 games no matter what.
And I don't think either of these teams are going to beat the Celtics or the Wizards. I just don't see it.
I don't know about that.
Good luck stopping Russ. He's been on fire.
Well, I would say Washington poses a bigger threat.
Russ.
Nobody's stopping Russ, yeah.
Washington poses the bigger threat, if you ask me. And I think
Washington's a good spot.
Yeah, and I think they'll end up playing Brooklyn just move to the next game in the East because you're talking about it. That's the game I'm excited about, but I'm sure they'll beat Boston, not because Boston's that bad, but Boston's A, been banged up, and B, they're playing terrible basketball. They have not looked good in a long time now. It's been a while. It's been.
They also lost Jaylen Brown for the season, which
that was a big loss.
Yeah,
that's absolutely a big loss for them. Yeah, that's one of their key guys.
Who would give the Nets more trouble, the Celtics or the Wizards at this point? I mean, we know the Nets would win the series, but who would give more trouble?
But the Wizards would be a better storyline too, because then you have Russ against KD,
and Harden, his 2 ex-teammates, right?
It'd definitely be a much better storyline with that.
I agree.
I definitely would love to see that. It'd be a fun thing to watch.
Well, I also think the fact that Russ is just playing so well right now, it's better than anybody on any of the teams remaining in the play-in tournament, on the East side at least. I mean, he's easily one of the best players in basketball right now, just like the way he's playing at this moment, not just his career, but just the way he's playing right now. He looks great.
He does this every year.
I know.
Plays this way almost every year.
I'm going to go out on a limb right now and say the East is going to be a New York final. The Nets against the Knicks. And nobody's beating the Knicks. Who is beating the Knicks?
See, the problem with the Knicks,
The Sixers
problem with
aren't
the
going to beat the
Knicks is kind of like the Baltimore Ravens. They like to play the slower pace. When you get them behind, that's the thing, is when they have to play fast pace, when you have to play a team that can shoot the three, that's when
No.
I don't think Atlanta beats them, but I don't think either of these teams get out of the second round, whoever wins.
So
I agree.
Atlanta's not beating them, so we think Philly's beating them? I don't think Philly's that good.
Oh, yeah, Philly's
overrated.
They may be overrated, but they're that much better than the Knicks. And
I don't know.
And the Knicks aren't there, or the Hawks. Whoever wins the series is not ready yet to go deep into the playoffs. You know what I'm saying?
They're ready. I think the Sixers are overrated. I don't think they're that good.
I think so too, but I think the Heat, Bucks, or Nets will get them in the conference finals because the Sixers will end up, like you said.
In the conference finals, I think the Nets destroy them.
I agree.
I think the Nets are going to be a cakewalk to the conference finals, and I think the Knicks are going to surprise people like they have all year. Just remember, I said it here before the play-in games.
I just think in sports, there's a process whenever it comes to a young team. They have to learn how to win. And I don't think the Knicks or the Nets or Knicks or Hawks are there yet. They're young teams, a lot of talent, but they're, you got to take your lumps, and they haven't taken them yet. And they will in the second round, whoever gets there. That's how I feel. It's typically how sports work.
Yeah, I'd say the Knicks will make the second round. I don't think that's even a question. I mean, it's no disrespect to the Hawks, but the Knicks defense is what's going to be really the big thing. Is that defense has been stellar, and defense wins championships. Now, I'm not saying the Knicks are winning a championship, but you get the sentiment that the defense is going to propel them to have the chance to win.
But I've seen this
and that's
before.
What's important.
I've seen this before because Tom Thibodeau is laying out the same exact blueprint that he had when he was in Chicago, and it was a great blueprint. I mean, it worked. It got him pretty far with Derrick Rose, but ultimately, they're not going to be able to score fast enough, not be able to score enough to be able to keep up with teams that can just.
Playoff basketball is more about defense, though.
No, I understand that, but in today's NBA, you got to be able to keep up with those threes, and I don't think the Knicks can keep up in the playoffs with that. I think that their pace is slow.
Okay. No. Time out.
Stop for 1 second.
The Knicks' three-point shooting is one of the best in the league.
But the Knicks are a slow-paced team. They like to grind it out. They like to grind out, and I don't think that will work.
Look at the seeding. They're the 4th seed. They got Atlanta in the first round.
Yep.
They're beating Atlanta.
Agreed.
Okay. Then after that, the second round most likely will be Philadelphia because they're the 1 seed. I'm going to assume Philadelphia as the 1 seed is going to beat the 8 seed. So the Knicks against Philly, I mean, Philly doesn't scare me. I don't think they're a good team.
But they're a better team than the Knicks.
Theoretically, not by much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're soft.
They may be, but I think Embiid's better than anything that the Knicks have.
When it comes to playoff basketball, soft does not win. Remember the Knicks of the 90s? They were soft. How many championships
I remember.
That's what happens when you're soft. So that's my opinion. Now, tomorrow night's the game I want to see.
Everybody wants to see it. It's the only playing game anybody cares about.
Let me say one last thing about the Knicks, though. I think the reason they lose to the Sixers more than anything, lack of experience. That is the only reason. There is some experience on that Sixers roster that I don't trust with the Knicks. I mean, who has a lot of experience in the playoffs on the Knicks? Nobody. At least the Sixers have been to the playoffs and experienced it at least.
Look,
I don't know.
By the way, John Mizek, I want the Bruins to beat the Caps too because I absolutely hate the Caps and I hate Tom Wilson.
Both teams.
Hey, did you see what he did? Not to go off topic. Did you see what he did to the Bruins player? I mean, come on, this guy again. He just keeps doing this.
Is it possible to root for both teams to lose?
Drive me insane.
JB?
I wish.
I'm with you.
I
wish.
There.
You know.
We'll get into that later because I'm going to say this now. I have predictions on the whole bracket. I have my winners and everything, and I want people to understand. I'm saying this now, and we'll get back to the NBA in a second. I made this last week before the playoffs actually started, so whatever has happened since has no bearing on my decisions. because we've already had a couple games in the playoffs. I just want to make that clear. But I'm with you. I want both teams to lose.
So let's get to the game of the play-in tournament. The Lakers against the Warriors. Who's winning and why? Yeah, John. Let's start with you.
I think Lakers because they have more firepower. Steph is amazing. We know that. He speaks for himself. But outside of him, scoring-wise, there's not a whole lot there that can keep up with the Lakers, I think. If Steph is on, I don't know who they're going to put Steph on, but you got to be able to stop AD and LeBron, and I'm not sure that the Warriors have enough to stop those two guys. And so ultimately, I think the Warriors will put up a good fight, but down the stretch, the Lakers will pull away. But it'll be a good game.
I'll go to JB first.
Oh no, I asked the question, so I want to hear your answer.
John, I don't think the Lakers make it past the first round, buddy. I think they're done.
Well, is this a first round or is this?
I count the first round. You put quotes around it if they, I mean they won't get past. Think, it's not. It's the first round, but it's not.
Do they win the play-in? Do they?
No, this is their first round. And when I say that, their first game they play, because the next.
So you think they're going to lose? You think they're going to lose to the Grizzlies or Spurs?
No, hold on. I was going to get to that. That's the second round. I'm putting quotes around it because it's two different series, two different teams.
It's still the play-in.
I know, but that's why I put quotes around it. Because it's not really the second round, but it's the second round of the play-in. Because it's right. Well, so that's what I'm saying. They don't get past the first round, meaning they don't win their first matchup in the play-in, so they have to go to a different round.
They'll dismantle they'll dismantle whoever they play between the Grizzlies and Spurs. I mean, that's no question.
They're going to make the official playoff if that's what we're calling it. I think the play-in counts somewhat. But anyway, what I wanted to say was, while I'm picking the Warriors, Steph is beyond video game mode. He's hit another level. LeBron even said he's MVP of the league right now. And I don't see them stopping him. And I know, yes, he's only one guy, but he is the guy that could take over a game like that. We've seen it time and time again. You get Steph going, it doesn't matter what the rest of the team does.
I know who I want to root for. I want to root for Golden State. I'm tired of LeBron. I'm tired of, the Lakers. Last Joe over there, Anthony Davis, who another crybaby that had to get to a place to win a championship. Couldn't do anything. LeBron, who's got to build super teams to win. He's 3-6 in finals.
Yeah.
He's not the greatest player of all time. But unfortunately, Steph, I don't think has enough help to win this game. He had a great season. 4-6.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, whatever. It's still a losing record. But I will. The only thing I'll give LeBron is he took teams that had no business being in the finals to the finals because he has a will to win. Well, that was
only the Cavs. He took the Cavs.
Well, it still counts.
Yeah. Well, that still in itself is amazing. But that still in itself is amazing.
Yeah.
And that's why I think they win this game, because when it's all said and done, his will to win and that championship that they won against Golden State was basically because of him. The man he just plays on another level.
Let's not downgrade Draymond Green kicking somebody in the junk. That helped too because he got suspended and then that changed the series. Let's not downplay that. That was big. That changed the entire series.
Yeah.
That changed it because that allowed the Cavs to get back into it. It allowed the Cavs to get back into it down 3-1. They won a game. They started to believe. They won another one, got to game 7, and anything can happen in game 7. So let's not downgrade that kick to the junk.
And there's certain guys that have a will to win. LeBron has it. I don't like him, but he has it.
He also cries a lot and gets his gets a lot of calls.
He's a great actor.
Yeah.
He is up there in his will to win though with MJ, Kobe.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not comparing them as players, I'm not trying to compare players here.
Yep.
Will to win, competitive spirit up there with those guys. I'm not trying to take away anything from anybody.
No.
But no doubt, those are the guys that I think of always when I think of, most will to win, hardest competitors in almost any sport. Those are, especially basketball, those are the guys. But
yeah, without a doubt. So that's what I think of the play-in. The Memphis San Antonio game
doesn't matter. It's a toss-up because whoever wins that is losing the next game anyway. There's no way either of them are beating LA or Golden State. No shot.
No.
It's not like on the East where you could you could say, maybe if the Pacers if the Pacers were to, even if Charlotte, because the Pacers are going to win, even if Charlotte, all right, they have a good game and they could somehow manage to beat maybe Boston if that's who they play. Is it possible? Sure, because Boston's beat up. It's not impossible. I wouldn't be like, oh my God, it's totally impossible. The West is totally different. I don't care who wins in the Memphis San Antonio game. Their game is over.
No buys. There's no buys.
Nope.
Yeah.
As we said before, the way it works is there's in each division, there's four teams that make the playoffs. Whoever wins the division will play the worst team to make it, the 4th seed in your division.
We'll go over
then
that.
2 and 3 play, and that's how it goes in each division.
Yeah.
Canes are the 1 seed. They just beat Nashville last night. Thank you. Okay. So no buys.
They're a good team. They're a good team. They're going to have a tough road.
I have a question. It has to do with the COVID and stuff. JB first. How do you think I guess home court advantage matters in the first round of the NBA playoffs, because we haven't quite got back to full capacity yet for these arenas. And do you think it dampens home court advantage at least in the first round? Because you might get full capacity by second or third round.
I think honestly the home court advantage is beyond the fans. When you're shooting in an arena, there's different depth perception when you're shooting at the basket. So it's not so much just the fans that are there. Yes, they add to it. But when you shoot at the Garden as opposed to, I don't know, any other
the Boston
arena,
Garden.
Yeah, it's just where the basket is and what you see behind it is at a different angle. So you have to have different depth perception. I've heard that talking to a couple of guys that have played in the NBA and overseas. And that in itself is why you see road teams have trouble. Yeah, it makes a big difference because it's just where the basket is and what you see behind the basket. You would never, a normal person wouldn't think about that. But yeah, that takes a big part of it. I mean, the fans do hurt communications and things, like if you try to run plays or pick and rolls and things. But you do that so often with guys on your team, you're used to what they're going to do.
Sure. Well, I wouldn't have thought about that either, I admit. But I think the fans, there are at least some fans. You know what? It doesn't matter. There's some, and that still makes a difference. You could have, I've heard Madison Square Garden, which is just a perfect example. They've got whatever capacity they've had. I've heard players in interviews on both the Rangers and the Knicks, because they both play in there, so it doesn't matter. Atmosphere is the same. They've both said it doesn't matter that there's, not a full stadium. It feels and sounds like, it's got the energy of it's a full stadium. And the Knicks are a great example because I've been there, I've seen what it's like, and I'm sure other stadiums are the exact same way. When you got home court advantage, it's an electrifying feeling. You feel it, throughout your body. You're like, oh my God, it's like
you're a little.
You can feel
you're a little
it.
calmer. You're a little calmer.
Well,
you know what I mean? You're not on the road. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
like you feel a little more
absolutely.
comfortable.
But not even that. It's just the crowd brings this energy, and when it's for you, it's something special.
I mean, watching the Kings game last night.
Oh, they were full capacity.
Yeah, well, the Hurricanes players were clearly amped up by the crowd. Of course. Clearly,
and that's all playoff games. Yeah. Absolutely. So you could have 10% of the fans, but it's better than no fans. It's better than last season. They have people. They're going to hear let's go whatever the team is. They're going to hear their fans cheering for them. That makes a difference, and that especially if you're down 1-0 in a close game in the fourth. No, I'm talking about in hockey. I was going to say in the fourth. I'm mixing sports, but we'll go with hockey just because you talk about a team that had a full stadium, right? You're down 1 goal, right? It's a 1-0 game. There's like 3 minutes left in the third period. You're about to pull your goalie. You hear "Let's go Canes." I mean, tell me that doesn't get you going, right?
Oh, yeah.
And basketball and baseball, it's all the same. So even if you got a 10% of your capacity, it's better than nobody screaming at you. And there's a special feeling that you get. So it makes a difference.
is there an opportunity because of the lack of full capacity for these places in the first round? Is there more of an opportunity for upsets in the NBA? Is there a possibility of that?
I don't think fans play that much of a role that it's going to cause a series to change like that.
Well, I
So
mean,
question for you. What sport do you think makes the biggest difference with having a full capacity? I think it's obvious, but I want to see what you guys say.
I would say it's probably the NHL because
really?
NHL has the arenas are like smaller. It's more like a sardine can. Everything's kind of tightly
closed.
Packed. Yeah, everything's tightly packed in there.
I would say the NFL probably.
I understand why you would say the NFL. They have more people, but the NHL, all of them are closed arenas. There's only 18 to 20,000, but they're all crammed in there. It's all pushed in. So that dome, it's electrifying. When a hockey playoff game is happening, it's unlike anything. I mean, you can't hear.
I will say this.
Last night were like 125, I think, for the Canes meter.
I'll say this. I have been to a non-playoff game, full capacity in the Garden, and that's just one example, but that's my home, my home turf. So that's where I would go. You can't hear yourself think. It is wild. I've been to a lot of Giants games. I've been to sold-out games. It's not the same. However, with that said, playoff atmospheres are very different. I still would have to say, even though it's very close, I give it to the NFL with a slight edge. My main reasoning, I've never heard of NHL fans causing a light earthquake. I've heard of NFL fans doing that.
I went to
I rest my case.
I went to an Orioles ALCS game, and that was the loudest I've ever heard anything in my life. Nobody sat down the entire game. They were waving their towels the entire game. It was the most electrifying thing I've ever experienced. It was insane.
John, take your car, drive up I-95 about 3.5 hours, go to the Bronx, come October, and you'll see loud.
I've been to that. I've seen. We want to talk about stories,
but when you have a team that's not there continually, it's a little bit more special than a team that's there, all the time. You kind of expect it. You know what I mean? It's because you don't know when you're going to get back.
To JB's point, I've been to a Yankees game a couple years ago, 2 years ago now. Didi Gregorius Grand Slam. I have never heard anything so loud in my life.
There is nothing like playoff baseball in the Bronx. Nothing.
But nonetheless, I still give it to football. But you're right.
Yes.
It also,
I don't know if football can compete with baseball or hockey in the playoffs.
To affect the outcome,
I'll say this.
The outcome, I think football fans make the biggest difference.
I think it depends on where you are. Different stadiums, different fan bases, it changes.
Well, football, yeah, I get why you're saying.
No, for every team.
Because they run. I mean football because they stop each play. They have to run a play. You have to call audibles. You have to check the line. You have to, tell your.
Right.
I mean, MLB, they're not doing that. NHL, they're not doing that. No. They're just continually off the ice.
The NHL, they do talk a lot.
But it's not the same as NFL where they stop each play and communicate. Yes. So I get why you're saying that.
That's a big impact. So I agree. But I don't know. I think the point is all of them have a very, very large impact, no matter what. Fans are
I like how none of us
thing.
talked about the NBA. That's the last on this list. I think they make the least impact out of the four.
I think you're right.
I don't know. My thought would honestly be hockey, but that's just my opinion because I'm not seeing how fans yelling and screaming affect the hockey game. I mean, I get that it's exciting.
No, I can tell you,
makes
JB,
a difference.
It's because
it feels like they're on top, literally on top of you.
Yeah, it's
in a hockey game.
It's that's my second. It is, especially in a place like Madison Square Garden, it is beyond loud. You can't hear anything.
They were saying that last night.
Wild.
The 12,000 we had felt like 120,000.
Yeah.
It literally feels like all of them are jumping on your back when you're the road team. That's what I would imagine it would be like for a hockey.
I would say
on the road hockey.
Part of the reason is because it's enclosed, so it's everything bounces.
Hockey fans are insane too.
You're
hockey fans
right.
are nuts.
I got a story about about something that happened this week as well when we get into hockey. But it's they're very loud to begin with, but the noise bounces off the walls and such. It is a loud atmosphere. Good luck thinking. It is it's nuts. I would still give it to football though. Football is just,
and then
football fans are special.
I don't know if Jake, if you've ever been to a hockey game where a fight breaks out, but I was
course.
to an AHL Bears game.
They're nuts.
And when a fight breaks out, as soon as the crowd just turn into animals as soon as, and then they make things worse on the ice for like the players because you know what I mean? For both
They're
players.
encouraging them.
They get rowdy and
Absolutely.
It's nuts.
Absolutely. Well, now that we're talking about hockey, do we have any more NBA or do we want to move on to that?
So just before we go, before the playoffs start, who's winning the championship? East, West, and the finals.
Hard, man. It's so hard because you don't know who's who. You don't know about the Jazz or the Suns. You don't know what they are in the playoffs. We have no idea what to expect out of those two top seeds. You said the Sixers are fraudulent. The Bucks clearly are fraudulent. We don't know what the Lakers are going to give us when they advance out of the play-in. The Mavericks will probably flame out. The Blazers will probably flame out. Clippers always choke. So it's like, is it just the Nets that are going to run through everything, even the finals? Or I don't know. I don't know what to – I don't know. There's a lot of question marks in the West.
I'm going with Phoenix this year.
CP3's never won a title. Never.
Oh, well. Hey, it was the first time for everything.
Choke artist.
Out of the East, that's tough, and I hate to go with the obvious answer, but I don't see anybody else besides Brooklyn.
Brooklyn, and you say Phoenix wins?
Yeah, the problem is with Brooklyn, I don't see anybody on the East beating them. Like, look, I think the Knicks are a great defensive team. But even still, they're not beating the
they don't have enough firepower.
I don't know that anybody can slow them down in terms of from the East, at least. It's rough.
That's the correct answer, by the way.
And I think the Sixers are same boat as the Bucks. They always choke. They always find a way when they get to the playoffs. I don't think Giannis
he doesn't have enough pieces with him either.
No.
Like you know what I mean? I don't.
Yep.
It's not that the team is bad.
It's the same story every year with them.
Yeah. John, before you go on, are the Heat going to beat the Bucks?
Yeah, they beat them last year, and it's basically the same team. All they had was Drew Holiday. I'm not worried. We beat them last year. We're going to beat them again.
So who's coming out of the East or West for you, John?
See, it's hard. Like I said, it's hard in the
West.
West.
Pick, John. It's a sports show. Just pick.
I know it's hard.
Give us reasons. You got to do it, John.
And hold on. I'll say this. My main reason for picking the Suns, I'm trying not to go with the super obvious pick because I feel like that's always the easy thing to do, and it never works.
Because the Nuggets don't have Murray, so I can't pick the Nuggets. The Clippers always find a way to choke. The Mavs only really
someone's gonna win, John.
Luka. I know. That's why I don't know. Go with the Clippers will win somehow. I don't know.
Wow.
And the East. Clippers. And the East is going to
be the Heat.
And who's winning it all?
The Heat.
Wow.
John, you're the most biased fan I have ever
That was
met.
the most biased. Wow.
Hey, look,
come on.
You put a gun to my head. And
come on. I'm a Knicks fan. I just admitted that we're not getting past like.
Well, yeah, you guys are too young.
So it's going to be the Nets against the Suns because I just think the Nets obviously going to have a cakewalk.
Yeah,
right. The West is really tough. I agree with John. It's tough to pick. Mm-hmm. But I really like what Phoenix did this year or what they did last year. And
but CP3's never gotten to a championship. Never.
This is his chance. This is his chance to take a bunch of young guys where they want to go. And I think he's going to get there.
He's been in the league since he was a teenager.
He's going to fall short, unfortunately, to the superstar team of Brooklyn. That's what I'm saying. So
funny enough, hockey. JB, you and I have the same finals, though. Funny.
Yes. So if we get to that final, one of us will be right.
You're right. We'll see.
I mean, I took the chalk.
Yeah.
But
well, we'll see. All right. Now we want to talk about the NHL. So last week we didn't have any official bracket yet. It wasn't totally official, but now we have it. So I'll pull it up on the screen for us so we can all look at it because I don't know if you guys have even looked at the
bring
bracket.
it up. That would help. That would help.
I know I did my research, but of course I did because this is what I do. But it's a tough year. This is one of those years that it's really hard because, as you can see, you look on the right. Okay, those are divisions. Nobody's played outside your division. I have no idea what it's going to look like when we leave the division. I have no idea. It's really, for me, it's hard to judge. But I'm going to give my official picks. Some of these are going to hurt. We'll start with the right, which is the East. Pens versus Islanders. Look, I like the Islanders. I like the Pens. I think they're both good teams. When I say I like them, I don't like them, but I think they're both very good teams. But Pens are just a superior team right now in terms of offense. They're a sickening team. I have to give them this round. So Isles choke again. And then Caps versus Bruins. I was saying before, I'd like both teams to lose. That would make me very happy, but that's not possible. And in that case, I have to say, as much as the Bruins are a good team, both of these teams have really great veteran leadership and experience. But I'd have to go with the Caps in this, and I very much look forward to a Pens-Caps rematch. John, you're going to like what I'm going to say next. I don't think that the Preds even stand a chance. This series is over before it begins. Yep. Canes all day. I think it's the easiest series. Team.
I think it's the easiest series to pick, honestly.
No, I got an easier one, but we'll get to that after.
Really?
Oh, easily. I got two easier ones. But we'll get to that in a minute. Anyway, I give the Canes that victory all day. And then Panthers, Lightning. Knowing that Victor Hedman is back, knowing that Stamkos is back, I give it to the Lightning. If I knew they weren't going to be back, I would have switched my vote. However, the fact of the matter is those are their two best players, and they're both back. The Panthers are a great team, but the Lightning just got their best players back on the ice. Two of the best players in hockey. Easily give it to them. So right now, on the East, we got Pens, Caps in the second round, Canes, Lightning, second round. Now let's jump over to the it's technically the North Division, whatever, the West, whatever they're calling themselves now.
Yeah.
We'll go. These are the two easiest picks.
Hold on, I have a question before you go on.
All right.
So, is there a Western and Eastern Conference trophy like every year that you're not supposed to touch? How's that going to work?
I believe they're going to still do that because it's still the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference.
The Maple Leafs are like Maple Leafs and Canadians are Eastern Conference teams. But
it's weird. I don't know.
I think that's what they're going to do. I think you're right.
I believe they still are. But this was such an easy division to pick. The North is extremely top-heavy. Number 1 and 2, easy picks. I'm taking the Maple Leafs, and I'm taking the Oilers, and it's not even a question. Oilers, I will talk about more, but I've got to say, Connor McDavid scored over 100 points. I scored 106 in 53 games. Just to put that in perspective, if he played a full season, he would have scored over 150 points. He would have been the only player not named Mario Lemieux or Wayne Gretzky to be in the top 15, I think, in scoring in a single season. That is how good he was this season. He was unbelievable. So Jets don't even stand a chance, and that's not even talking about the rest of the team for the Oilers, which is a good team. Another kind of easy series. Look, Avs are the President's Trophy winners. John, you know this all too well. If you're the President's Trophy winner, you're not winning the Stanley Cup. It doesn't matter.
Nope.
However, it doesn't mean you can't get out of the first round, which I think they do. Blues are just not in a position to win. My big if for the Avs and why I'm telling you now they're not winning the Cup, I don't trust their goaltending. I don't trust Grubauer enough to say
no, definitely not.
That they're going to win a Cup. And this last series, Golden Knights, Wild, going to be a good series. But for the same reason I just knocked the Avs is why I'm taking the Golden Knights. I think the Golden Knights have the best goaltending tandem in the playoffs, period. Marc-Andre Fleury and Robin Lehner, great goalies to have together. It is fantastic. You have Robin Lehner, who's got plenty of playoff experience. And, let's not forget Marc-Andre Fleury, who has won multiple cups and is one of the best playoff goalies in recent years. Fantastic. Huge upside. So, recap my picks so far. We got Pens, Caps on the right in the East, and we got Canes, Lightning. And then in the West, whatever they call themselves now, we're going to have Toronto versus the Oilers and the Avs versus the Golden Knights. This is where it gets fun, gentlemen, because we're going to get a Pens Caps rematch for the bajillionth time. And it pains me to say this, but the Pens are going to win again because Alex Ovechkin has extreme trouble getting past the second round. He has done it one time in his career. Once.
Yep. He
won one cup. That's it. It's not happening. Pens move on. Canes, Lightning. Now, John.
That'll be an interesting series.
It's going to be a good series. But, John, I'm going to break the news to you. If the Lightning didn't get two of their best players back, I'd be picking the Canes all day. All day, because the Canes are a great young team. And more importantly, the Lightning would be without two of their best players on the ice. But they have them both back. The Canes are too young. They don't have enough experience, in my opinion, yet. I think they'll be a threat if they give them another year, maybe two. They need more time and more experience.
The reason I'll disagree with you there is because the only team that stopped the Canes in the past 2 years is the Boston Bruins. You just told me the Boston Bruins aren't making it to the conference finals, which is where the Canes would have to play them if they played. 2 years ago, remember, the Canes got knocked out by the Bruins in the conference finals, swept. Last year, beat by the Bruins again, second round. Bruins don't make to the conference finals. That's the only team that's been able to stop this team. This is the same Canes team from 2 years ago, except the goaltending is elite. So now that you have an elite goaltender, let's go, game on. And he reminds me of Cam Ward when Cam Ward was a rookie. That's what
John,
I'd
like to remind you that you guys didn't even make it into the playoffs last year, technically.
Yes, we did. We beat I believe we beat the Islanders.
Oh, yes, you did. You did.
And then we got
you were
beat
round
by the
one.
Bruins.
Excuse me. I take that back.
Yeah.
John, you haven't made a deep playoff run. That's my concern for you.
Second round last year, conference finals the year before.
Right, but this group there's a lot of young stars that were not on the team then that are now here. I don't trust them. I trust the Lightning's veteran leadership.
Jordan Stahl was there.
Jordan Stahl is old.
Jordan Stahl scored 2 goals last night.
He did.
He had 5 hits.
John, I think it's going to be a 7-game series between the Canes and the Lightning. I don't mean to say that the Canes are bad.
It's going to be a hell of a series. Whoever the Canes play out of those two, it's going to be a dogfight.
I think it's going to be a very close series.
Yeah.
But I like the goaltending better in Tampa, and I like the veteran leadership better in Tampa. It's just something that they have a little more experience than you guys. That's all. If you guys were still in our division, in the original, what's the Metro, I would have you guys going to the conference finals. I would have you beating anybody. I would have you beating Pens, Islanders, Caps, Bruins. I'd have you beating any of them. But you guys got moved and you got stuck in a really tough division. It's why I'm not giving it to you.
You won that division, by the way.
You darn right you did.
Yep.
But what my point was, the Lightning ended third, right? But they're missing 2 of their best players.
Yeah. And they're beating the Panthers again tonight, 2-0.
They're a great team. And I don't think they're going to repeat. And I'll get to my winner in a minute.
No.
But now we got Toronto versus the Oilers. Toronto is notorious for choking, and this year will be no different. Granted, the Oilers have not been much better, but the Oilers with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl have been one of the best teams in terms of just a fantastic duo. I am telling you, they are going to go to the conference finals this year, which is an improvement for Oilers fans. And they're getting lucky this year because they're really going to get a cakewalk. They have to beat the Jets. That's a joke. And then Toronto, who's notorious for choking, is just you basically hand them a win. So I'm moving the Oilers up.
Canadian teams don't win Stanley Cups anymore.
Absolutely. And this is, in my opinion, the other best series. I think it's Canes Lightning and it's going to be Avs Golden Knights, another fantastic series.
Oof.
Awesome series. And again, I'm predicting like 6-7 games for both
Oh, it
the
has to go
Lightning,
7.
Canes,
That series.
and Golden
Avs,
Knights
yeah.
and Avs are absolutely going at least 6, if not 7 for sure. I think it's going to be a fantastic series. But what I just said before, the goaltending was what I found important, and that is what the Avs for me are lacking just a little bit. I don't trust Grubauer, but I love Marc-Andre Fleury. I think he's a fantastic goalie, and I think if he's having an off night, you have a fantastic backup option in Robin Lehner, and I think that's why I'm giving the Golden Knights in a grueling series the victory. So now we're going to have Pens versus Lightning, Oilers versus Golden Knights. For the conference championships, I am going to take the Golden Knights. They have veteran leadership. They have experience. They have better goaltending. They're a better overall team. I'm putting the Golden Knights in the Stanley Cup and the Pens versus the Lightning. This was probably the hardest series for me to pick, though, because these are two – the Lightning have looked fantastic now. And, of course, the Penguins decided that they were going to become – extremely relevant again this year and regain their previous form. However, go ahead. What's up, John?
I just want to throw this in there. You said that the Lightning goaltending is better. Their best goaltender, Vasilevsky, has a 2.56 goals against average. Ned, I can't say his last name for us, our rookie goaltender, 198 goals against average this year. Just so you know, that's over half a goal less per game that our rookie goaltender lets up. Just so you know.
What's the save percentage breakdown? I don't know the save percentage breakdown. I'm curious.
91.917 for Vasilevsky. I don't know. I don't have
917. That's good.
Yeah. I don't have Ned's up, but I think it's like 930 something. I think I looked last time. It was like 993 something.
I'll check it out in a minute. But
yeah.
So
just so you know. Just so you know, our goaltender had a better year. Less goals per game let up.
My point was, John, there's something that you don't have in your goalie. Actually, two things. Experience and Vezinas. You have neither of those right now.
Hey, look, remember Cam Ward won a Stanley Cup as a rookie for us in 2006. So don't forget that. Beat those Oilers. So maybe Oilers-Canes will play again and we'll beat them again.
You guys are killing me with these picks. You're way off.
Way off. Well, please go ahead.
Hold on. I'll finish my bracket, and then I'll let JB – I'll hear his hot garbage.
You mean the facts of what's going to happen.
No. Between Pens, Lightning, I'm giving the Lightning a slight advantage. Again, I think it's going to be a tough series, but Lightning get back to the Stanley Cup Finals. Vegas, Lightning, another fantastic series. And I'm not going to pick the Lightning to go back-to-back. I don't see it happening. I'm predicting that someone on the Lightning is going to get hurt. I'm going to probably stay Stamkos because it's the most likely scenario. He'll have been hurt by the Stanley Cup Final probably because that's what he does. And because of the great goaltending that Vegas possesses, which is the main reason I'm choosing them, I think they have arguably the best goaltending tandem of any team. They're going to win the Stanley Cup Final finally because their window is slowly closing, and Marc-Andre Fleury is getting yet another championship added to his resume. And I think it's going to be a great series.
All right, JB, I'm curious. Your
I'll leave this up so
You've
we can.
talked the least amount of hockey, so please go ahead. Go ahead.
I agree.
So the Islanders are going to play the Caps in the second round. And all the New York Ranger fans are going to be rooting for the Islanders, which is going to be the most hysterical thing. The Islanders will then beat the Capitals.
Oh, this is funny.
The Lightning are going to win, as are the Hurricanes, and then the Lightning are going to beat the Hurricanes.
Just so you know, JB, the Islanders are losing to Pittsburgh 2-1 right now.
2-1.
Just
they're up 1-0 in this series.
I just
on the road. They've already checked home ice advantage.
Yeah,
I don't mean that to dismiss you. I just want to let you know what's going on.
No, I'm aware. I know win this game in overtime. Don't worry. So it'll be Tampa against the Islanders. Tampa will beat the Islanders.
All right, so we agree on Tampa reaches the final. Okay.
Yeah, we got Toronto against Edmonton easy. Edmonton go to the conference finals.
Agreed. So far we agree on most of this.
Avalanche and Vegas. Simple. Vegas is going to win. This is my tough pick. Vegas against the Oilers. I want to see the Oilers win. I think Vegas wins.
I agree. So, again, we have the same cup final, too. Everything seems to line up the same, Jay.
And then I think Vegas is going to win their first.
So what do you disagree with me about, then?
The Islanders, then. The Islanders.
Oh.
Because you Ranger fans are going to be all over the Islanders come
Well, you have
week.
to if they play the Caps. You have to.
Yeah,
no, absolutely. My problem is I don't know that they're going to get past either of those. I don't see them getting past the second round if they even get past the first.
I don't see them getting past the Pens.
I don't either. But, John, what's your prediction?
So I see the Pens winning. I see the Bruins beating the Caps. It's just this St. Caps team is just their window's closed. They're not the same team. They're just looking for a fight, it seems like. They have no discipline. They let Tom Wilson do.
You don't think the Bruins window's closed?
I don't think I didn't say they're winning a championship, but the Caps.
I'm just saying.
But the Bruins at least are going to get to the second round. The Caps just don't seem like the same team from years past. They don't seem like they have the electricity. They seem like they just let Tom Wilson do whatever he wants. There's no discipline, and I think in the playoffs, especially against the Bruins, if you play that kind of game, I just don't see how you're gonna go on. Bruins eat that stuff up whenever you try that nonsense. The Bruins will throw it back in your face. So I think the Bruins beat them. I think obviously they'll play the Pens. Then the Pens will win that. Canes will play the Lightning.
Hold on. I'd like to point out so far, we've all basically agreed the Pens will reach the conference final. We're all very similar in what we see happening.
Well, I think it's by default because I don't think the Bruins or Capitals are the teams of years past.
I agree.
So, and the Islanders aren't anywhere on the Penguins level, in my opinion. And then the Canes will play the Lightning. I think we'll beat the Lightning. I think we'll finally get there. The Pens always give us trouble.
Picking your teams. Islanders and Canes, the two of you kill me.
The Pens and the Bruins are the only two teams in the East that give us continuous trouble. So I'm going to say the Pens go on to play. And I'm looking at the West. I think maybe the Maple Leafs finally do it. I think finally maybe the Maple Leafs do it. I think Vegas is going to end up falling apart again, just like they did last year.
So hold on. What are you predicting? Are you saying Toronto beats Edmonton and then reaches the conference final?
Yeah, and then it'll be I think it'll be Wild and Avalanche, actually. I think the Vegas gets upset by the Wild.
Really? All right.
Yeah. For some reason, I just have a feeling.
They're too young for me. I hate to keep using that excuse, but that's a big thing.
I have a weird feeling that Vegas is going to get shocked by the Wild. So something big is going to happen. A big upset in these playoffs has to happen. It's not going to be your typical picks every pick, and I think the Wild are going to be that one big upset that stirs the pot. Then the Avalanche destroy the Wild, and then I think Toronto goes on and beats the Avalanche, and then Pens versus Maple Leafs. I think Pens would beat them. I can't see a Canadian team winning the Stanley Cup. It hasn't happened in a very long time.
Not happen.
As I don't think it's happening, so I think the Pens will end up somehow getting one of these championships that's come out of nowhere. I hope not. I hope I'm wrong. Like I said, the Bruins and the Pens are the only two teams in the East that give us continuous trouble physically. Everybody else we match up well against, but for some reason the Pens have our number. So
who's
but I
the
hope
Stanley
I'm
Cup
wrong.
champion?
The Pens. I think it'll be one of those weird wins where it's like, who saw that?
I hope not.
I hope not.
I really hope not.
I was just making predictions, but I hope not.
John,
I'm just making predictions. I hope I'm wrong.
No, hey, that's what we do. That's fine.
Just for fun.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
That's the fun part of it.
Yep.
All right, so there's one more thing NHL related I gotta show. Look, this made my heart want to burst. That was so sweet. I love people sometimes. Now, I admit I hate people sometimes, but this was one of those moments, those rare moments in humanity that I loved what people were doing. This was, I don't know, this is about 2 weeks ago now? Yeah, a little less than 2 weeks ago, a little more than about a week ago. Senators, not made the playoffs, they sucked, whatever. One of their young players, I believe he's a rookie. Yeah, he is. Tim Stützle scores his first ever hat trick, but there were no fans in attendance. So local senators' children did this. They went to his house and threw hats in his backyard. Because they couldn't do it while he was at the stadium, throw it on the ice. So they threw it in his backyard and surprised him.
That's pretty cool.
That is
that.
One of those moments in sports that makes you just love people, because that is awesome. He missed the opportunity of, having the fans throw their hats on the ice. I love that. Senators fans, I tip my hat to you, because that is an awesome, awesome thing to go do. Go surprise him. Go throw your hats out on the field on his grass for him, because he couldn't experience the elation of fans in the stadium, in the arena. But that was awesome. I just wanted to share that because I saw that and I loved that. That made me so happy, because it doesn't happen often that fans do great things like that. But that was one of those moments you're like, I really appreciated that. And I'm sure he did too. So
I'm not sure if you saw this this moment. It was only like 7 seconds long, the video from the Canes. But it was pretty cool last night before the game. I think this little girl had some sort of disability, maybe like Down syndrome or something like that. It looks like that may have been the case. Jordan Martinook, one of our players before the game, he came up and waved to this little girl. She had a sign, and I'll pause it on my screen. It said, "Wishing my buddy and the Canes all the luck to win the cup." And she had her little earmuffs on and stuff like that. And he came up and waved to her, and it was really cool. Like, just getting to watch a 7-second clip. It was, like you said, one of those, like,
it's one of those
cool
moments
things about sports. Yeah. And then I guess her mom or something was like commenting and stuff. And she said after the game, she kept saying, "My buddy won." And then she had a couple of tears, but she said they were happy tears. So she kept calling Jordan Martinook her buddy.
Cute.
Little girl did. So that was something cool that kid, I happened to stumble upon today.
Absolutely. It's proof that not all hockey players are like Tom Wilson and they're total jerks.
Yep.
Some of them actually are good people.
Yeah, hockey players are really, really good to the kids. Baseball players and hockey players are really good to the kids. That's what I like about those two sports.
I agree. So I don't have anything else, though. I mean, there's not really much. The series have really only just begun. They're in their second games at best. So, like I said, though, my predictions were made like last week when the playoffs were set. No bearing on any of the games, obviously, because if they had any bearing on what the games were, I may not have picked you
would have picked the Canes to win it all. We know.
Yeah, right. I may not have picked the Golden Knights, though, because they're down 1-0 in that series. Little things like that would have possibly changed my mind. Obviously, my mind was set previously, so we'll see. It's the one thing I'm intrigued by is seeing what players, or rather what teams, look like when they leave their division. Those first 2 rounds for them, it's easy, if you will, because they know what they're going to experience. They know the teams they're playing. After that, they haven't played them all season. It's something different. So
that's hard.
I look forward to that.
That's hard because you play the team so much that you don't have any surprises. So now it's basically execution and talent. This is what you got to have, and that's hard. I mean, you've seen a team, the entire season 18 times or however many times like that. There's nothing to hide. You know what I mean? So
this is true.
And you're going to have a little bit extra oomph for that division team because you played them all year, and you're probably tired of seeing their ugly faces. So,
well, I think it also helps provide that we get the best teams possible to advance.
Yeah.
Because it's going to force teams to really, be their best. And I understand they always have to do that. I understand.
Yeah.
But these are teams that know each other very well now, and they played all season. They're forced to play each other a couple more times because they didn't play each other enough in the regular season. I think they played like 8 times in the regular season. Now they can play up to 7 more times. So basically doubling what they already played them in the regular season. It is very exciting stuff. And I'm not a fan of the new format. I like the old format just because it provides matchups that are different. But at the same time, this helps spark old rivalries and such, which is fun. I do appreciate that. So, but I don't have anything else in the NHL. So if we want to move on to MLB or NFL, we can move on.
Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about Stephon Diggs in the NFL. So I got to talking today. I was on the Sports Arena with Eric Wilson last night, and Alex Fleming, and a couple other people, Megan Price. And, we ended up stumbling upon today a conversation in our chat about Stephon Diggs. Alex had actually mentioned about trading for Stephon Diggs in Dynasty. And I told him he shouldn't trade Antonio Gibson away for Diggs. And him and the other guy, Michael Caratenuto, disagreed with me because they like Diggs. And I said, in fantasy, running backs are scarce. It's a wasteland. It's a boneyard.
Sure.
You don't give up running backs for a wide receiver, unless the talent is that much different. But in fantasy, a guy like Gibson, I'm not giving up. Anyway, it got me thinking about Diggs, and I mentioned to them that Diggs is going to have a little bit of regression this year, and they disagreed with me. They thought, oh, well, you're a Dolphins fan, you're going to say that. But I actually looked into his numbers, and Stephon Diggs had one amazing season this year, 1,500 plus yards, 127 catches, and I dug deeper into his numbers. He's never had double-digit touchdowns. First of all, do you guys think Stephon Diggs takes a step back from this amazing season he just had, or do you think he produces another 1,500 yards and 127 catches? First, I'll start with that, then I'll give you the numbers that I ended up digging up myself.
Let me ask, define regression. Like, what are you defining as he's regressed? Like, if he gets only 1,300 yards,
so I'm going to say
110 or 100.
His second best season. His second best season's 1,100 yards. If you have a 1,500 plus yard season and you lose 400 yards, you lose about 27 catches to 30 catches. That makes a big difference in your team. That's 400 yards and about 30 catches that the other guys have to pick up the slack on. That's a lot. That's a lot of first downs potentially. That's, you know what I mean? So, and you have to rely on the other guys that didn't do nearly as much. So 400 yards is a lot of yards. It can make the difference, in a couple wins or losses. So do you think he takes a little bit of a step back, like falls back down to earth a little bit, or do you think he does this again? Before I give you stats.
I would say he's not going to necessarily get 1,500 yards and 127 catches, but I could realistically see him still sitting at 1,250 and then between 110, 115 catches, which I don't think is a really large regression, but you may define that as regression. So obviously our definitions are a little different, but
from what the people that like Buffalo, I think based on the way they're talking is Diggs is going to do this again. He's going to fire again, and he's going to go off for another gigantic
I still think 1,250 and 110 or so is a great season. So,
but the way Bills fans, people that like them have been talking, it's like it's going to happen again. And I think that's a little bit unrealistic. I think that he comes back down. I think there's other mouths to feed that take a little bit away. And that's what I think.
It's possible. I actually, you know what? I take back what I said. I think he'll go for more because he's got an extra game this year. He may not go for more than 1,500, but he may go more than what I initially predicted because I'm thinking in a 17-game season, he may play an extra game. He may now play 17 games instead of 16 because I'm assuming he sits the last game probably most likely.
Probably.
So, you know what I mean? So technically he probably plays an extra game. So he may still equal those totals because he gets an extra game.
And this is fantasy and NFL.
Yeah.
Kind of like a mixed bag of them together.
Absolutely. But I think because the season is extended, he has a better chance of continuing that success because he's got more games to do the same. He's got an extra game. So if he gets a game of 120 yards and he was at 1,250, now he's going to be very close to where he was. He's going to be over 1,300 yards now. Almost 1,400, he's right behind where he just was. So that extra game is reason to believe the regression is going to be less because even if he averages less per game, he's got an extra game to make it up.
JB?
I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. I think Diggs is a good receiver. I like him. I wish the Giants had guys like that, instead of who we're signing. We're getting.
You mean Kelvin Benjamin, a tight end?
Kelvin Benjamin.
Oh, gosh.
Lovely.
I don't know.
Oh, that's because of the Carolina ties that Gettleman has.
I guess.
Care. It makes no sense. This Tebow trickle-down effect needs to stop.
It's so stupid, but whatever. Not the point.
Yeah. All right, so I looked into Diggs' numbers. I dug deep into his numbers today. I was looking at it. And he had 8 touchdowns this year. Pretty decent. He's never had double-digit touchdowns.
I'll be right back. Give me 1 minute, guys.
All right. He's never had double-digit touchdowns. Start there. Which I get. Not every player is going to have double-digit touchdowns. Not everybody's a scorer. But he had 8 touchdowns. 3 came against the Patriots. 3 of them in one game. I calculated today. It's 37.5% of his touchdowns came in one game. One game. 37.5% of his touchdowns this year came in one game. Means in his other 15 games, he only had 5 scores in 15 games. That's not great. He's not much of a scorer. The guy needs to score more. I mean, 3 touchdowns in one game is great, but if you give me 5 in 15, that's basically a whole season of 5 scores. I don't love that. Also, I looked at his targets. 166 targets. There's no way, even with an extra game, because that was 11 targets a game. Sure. 11. That doesn't happen in the NFL. 11 targets for any receiver over an entire season doesn't happen. Michael Thomas was an anomaly, not this past year, but the year before when he set the single season catch record. They were clearly just trying to break the record with Michael Thomas. Anyway, receivers don't get 166 targets. Typically, the ball's spread out. You run the ball more.
Well, when you're the only guy, that happens.
Right, exactly. So I think that number, the 166, comes down. His previous high, I believe, was 137 or so. Last year was the first time he played all 16 games. I don't think that happened. I don't think he plays all 17. This coming season, he's been injured in his past. He was finally healthy for an entire season. I don't think that happens again. He actually played the playoffs apparently with a torn oblique. So he's a smaller guy compared to other receivers. He has a history of some injuries. Like I said, the 166 targets comes down, in my opinion. The 1,500 yards, that's got to come down. He's played 6 seasons. He had the 4th lowest average yards per catch in his entire career in 6 years this past season. So he wasn't averaging a whole lot in his career compared to the best seasons he's had. So these are means for regression. With all these stats I gave you, 37.5% of your touchdowns came in one game. If you take out those 10 catches he had against the Pats in that one game, that's 117 catches on the year in his 15 games, and only 5 of them.
You can do that for any player.
Well, I know, but I'm saying 5 of those 117 catches went for touchdowns. That's it in 15 games. That's not great. He needs to score more. If I'm going to be told that this guy's a top 5 receiver or the best in the NFL, I need to see him score more. I need to see him have a higher yards per catch than he did.
Because I'll say this, I wouldn't put him top 5 as is. Just
his only other seasons, he's in 6 years, he's had 3 1,000-yard seasons. One, he had like 1,081. The other one, he had 1,100 yards. And then this season, that's why I say it's a regression, because you go from 600 yards, 700 yards, and 900 yards your first 3 seasons to 1,000, pretty decent, 1,100. Then you balloon to almost 1,600. The guy's going to come back down to earth.
Yeah, but you could argue that it's based on where he's playing. He's got a better quarterback and a better offense. You could argue that's why he ballooned.
But Kirk Cousins also threw the ball a ton to him. You know what I mean? There was a lot of targets out there in Minnesota when he was there.
You and I both know Josh Allen's a heck of a better quarterback.
But it's not like Kirk Cousins wasn't slinging the ball around. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's not like they were just running.
I don't know his stats, offhand. So like in terms of targets and such before.
Well, yeah.
So.
But in his 3 seasons, like I said, 5 seasons in Minnesota, He had up 100 targets one time, 100 plus targets one time. Maybe that's partly. Yeah.
Twice.
Yeah, well, this year was
and 2016.
Yeah. Okay. So 3 times he's had 100 plus targets. He's only caught the ball 100 times twice now. So I just think ballooning 400 plus yards, all the way up to 127 catches. Remember, we all thought Michael Thomas was going to have a big year, and then look what happened to him this year. So I just think that Diggs, I'm not going to say he's going to get hurt, but I think he comes back down to earth, back to that 1,100 range, and maybe 101 catches. And he averages right around 8 touchdowns. So that's his career average, right around that mark. So, but for me, he needs to score more. If we're going to talk about this guy being the best receiver in the NFL, which people do, but I don't think he's even top 5.
I don't
even think he's top 5. Then, you know what I mean? He's had one amazing season. That's it. The rest of his seasons, 1,100's respectable, but nothing elite. This was his only elite season.
Let me just ask you, what was the question you wanted to pose to us?
I just wanted to know if you think that he regresses. Because I mentioned, I gave the stats out to folks in our chat, and they just bypassed them. And, these are stats you really have to look at, especially if you're in fantasy football. A lot of people play fantasy. Diggs is going to go really high, but if you're looking at fantasy, you have to look at him coming back down to earth, and he might not be worth that high. If we're talking
Antonio Gibson versus Stephon Diggs, though,
in Dynasty.
Diggs all day.
In Dynasty.
Diggs all day.
I gotta go Gibson because running backs are so scarce, and Gibson was really good last year as a rookie.
He was okay.
And he's younger.
Really good.
Oh, he was really good for a rookie with a decent line. And in Dynasty, the guy's only played 1 year, where Diggs is 27 already. In Dynasty, you really don't want 27-year-olds that you're trading for. In Dynasty, you want the young guys. And Gibson's 1 year pro on an offense where he's going to be the focal point. I'd want Gibson. I wouldn't give Gibson up.
I would. I looked at his stats, and he had some good games, but he also had some really not great games. I don't trust him, especially in Washington. I don't trust that team as a whole, which is my concern.
Well, of course you're not. You're a Giants fan.
No, I'm a Giants fan, but that has nothing to do with it. Trust me. That's like saying I trust Saquon Barkley. I do, but compared to certain other players, I don't. Exactly. Right. Not just because I'm a Giants fan doesn't mean I automatically trust them. It depends. So it's the same thing.
Yeah, so it's something you got to think about and Gibson is only 22. He'll be 23 in June. So yeah, he averaged almost 5 yards a carry. He had 11 touchdowns, 795 yards, 4.7 per carry. That's really, really good. That's really good.
This is my point, though. I agree with this.
I can't say look like crap because they still have Terry McLaurin and they still have Gibson, both amazing players. And then Fitzpatrick's going to sling it, so they're going to put up points. They'll throw pins.
Right, so if they're going to sling it, that's going to hurt Antonio Gibson because Gibson's not really –
Gibson caught 36 passes out of the backfield, which is pretty respectable for a rookie running back.
Yeah, but when you look at the rest of their team, like in terms of who caught passes as a running back, he was not it. J.D. McKissick got a lot.
McKissick. That's the only thing McKissick knows how to do.
Right,
is catch a pass.
Right, but I'd rather have a receiving running back. Receptions are assuming you're playing PPR, which is what the standard is usually.
Yeah, it's usually the standard.
I would say that's more valuable. If you compare the stats, it's more valuable. I think J.D. McKissick's a more valuable player.
So, John, I'm going to reply to your comment. I don't think that's tragic as a good signing, but I think fantasy-wise for Gibson and McLaurin, that's a great thing because he's going to sling it, and it's going to open up the run game. So that'll help out McLaurin because even though Fitzmagic will throw a lot of picks, he'll throw a lot of touchdowns and yards, and that'll help McLaurin. That'll open up the run game. That'll give McKissick and Gibson the ball out of the backfield to catch too. So may not be good NFL-wise for the Washington football team to win games, but fantasy-wise, that'd be great. That'll open up that offense. They won't be dink and dunk Alex Smith.
Yeah.
And Gibson had 11 touchdowns, John. So, I get 11 touchdowns, 4.7 per carry. That's, it's almost 5 yards a carry for a rookie running back. That's pretty damn good.
The problem is his usage is not there, which is going to hurt.
Yeah, but he's not going to carry the ball 300 times. That's just not what they're going to do. They're going to sling it.
Right. And so if you're talking about who's more valuable, I would say that he's still not, because I can count Stephon Diggs for
But in
over
Dynasty, trading for a 27-year-old receiver, that's like suicide in Dynasty. You want the young guys. You want the rookies. You want, you know what I mean? Like,
no.
I've never played Dynasty, but
no. But
I've heard that you want all the young guys. Gibson's 22 right now. Like that's like.
But my logic would be this: you can get Stephon Diggs for like 2 years, and then, assuming he's still playing really well, trade him off, get a great young running back that is proven to be good, and be better off in 2 years.
See, it's hard. I don't play Dynasty, so I don't know a whole lot about it. But I do know that like the young players are like picking Christian McCaffrey in redraft, and then the older players like Diggs. Diggs is like a dinosaur in Dynasty. Like 27 is like almost death sentence in Dynasty, because they love rookies. In Dynasty they love like rookies in the first couple rounds. It's insane. Right. I like redraft more. I'm not a Dynasty person. I don't like Dynasty.
I'm with you. Trust me. But
so that's all I got. I wanted to talk a little bit about Diggs and the stats that I have for him regressing this year. Not falling off a cliff, but just coming back down to earth a little bit.
No, I like I said, I think regress is a little bit.
He's not falling off a cliff.
I know. I just think that's a bit of a subjective term in terms of what you mean by regress. So
like 400 yards, 30 catches.
And I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be closer to like 200, 250 yards less, and then like 15, maybe 20 catches less.
Because Cole Beasley's there. Cole Beasley
was there last
finally.
year.
Yeah, but he's hurt. He's finally healthy.
Yeah,
Gabriel Davis is in his second year. And then I think they're going to try and establish the run game more, because they have to establish that to beat teams like the Chiefs. So I think they're going to want to establish that a little bit more in hopes for them that they have a run game when they come up against the Chiefs or Ravens or whoever.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
But I want to go back to a comment, because John brought up something before for basketball, for football, that he wanted us to talk about. Here we go.
Aaron Rodgers.
And we'll make this quick. But will this create more bitterness with Rodgers? No, because it's on his list of teams he wants to go to. Rodgers has said, I want to go to Denver. So Rodgers going to Denver wouldn't create bitterness, but I will say this. The idea of the projected trades I've seen for Denver to trade for him is a awful idea, because they would mortgage their whole future. I've seen trades that include Bradley Chubb, Teddy Bridgewater, I believe, and then a bunch of picks. It's a terrible
2 first
idea.
rounders. Yeah,
it's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Why? Look, I know Rodgers is an incredible quarterback, but I wouldn't mortgage my whole future for probably only a couple of years.
Yeah, he's 37 years old. Yeah.
I'm not sure that he's going to be Brady in terms of beating Father Time. He might not.
And we don't even know if he's committed to staying in the NFL. I mean, he wants his Jeopardy gig. We don't know how long he stays in football. We don't know if he gives it 1 year and then he's like, I have other opportunities. You know what I mean? He's a diva. You also got to deal with the diva-esque. If he doesn't have what he wants, he might cry.
It's not a worthy risk, if you ask me. I think it's a very bad idea.
And then
to mortgage your whole future for that.
And then you take
I
his
love
contract.
Aaron Rodgers. I think he's great, but very.
Then you
risky
take on
move.
that contract too, as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to take that.
And John, you're a Broncos fan, buddy, so you know all about this. You're asking us about this, but but yeah, this is also true.
But that doesn't mean you go out and make a hasty decision like trading for a 37-year-old disgruntled quarterback that wants to go and do Jeopardy, that has acting opportunities.
If this was Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, any of those guys that are young and they are extremely talented.
Rodgers was 31. Yeah.
Right. But even if you get a couple years out of Rodgers, you still need to build the rest of the team. You'd have to replace Bradley Chubb, which would be hard. You have to build more of an offense for him. There'd be a lot to work with that you still got to do. That I'd be like, I don't think this is a team built to win. A team trading for Rodgers has got to be a team ready to win right now. Everything else has to be set in stone, ready to win this second. Otherwise, you're trading for a guy that even if you waste a year, it's not worth it.
He could throw a tantrum.
He's expensive.
Yeah.
And he's not getting any younger. So.
And he chokes in playoff games.
Oh, wow.
Choke artist. First ballot Hall of Fame choke artist.
That is not the point we're making here.
I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm. All right. Anything else for NFL?
Yeah, I'm good.
John, shall we talk a little MLB and then
sure.
wrap up?
Sure.
So what do you got?
So I wanted to talk about this Yasmani Mercedes guy from the White Sox in this situation.
Yasmani? You mean Yerman Mercedes?
However you say it.
Not even close.
I don't even care.
You mean the Yerminator, as they
nicknamed
him, which is one of the silliest nicknames ever?
Yermani or Sodi or Versace, I don't care. Whatever his first name is, Mercedes. Plays for the White Sox, you know what I mean? What do you guys think about the situation? And we'll clue you in, guys, first if you haven't heard about it. Jake, if you want to kind of explain to the audience a little bit on
last night, it was a 11-run game, I think, at the time.
Yeah, 15-4 or something.
15, it was 15-4, so 11-run game. The top of the ninth. White Sox are just, destroying. And I mean, it's not even fair, but whatever. It's an 11-run lead against the Twins. Game is clearly over. It's a 3-0 count. La Russa apparently gave the signs to Mercedes to take a strike. I guess, whatever. He told him, he didn't say, give you the green light, go ahead. He said, just take the ball. Whatever. Clearly, he got a pitch he liked. He swung at it, and he hit a home run. And apparently, La Russa, I don't remember his exact words, and I don't need to find
a lot of bad things.
But he basically said he's going to, have to deal with this internally because we're annoyed that he did it. That's basically what his message was.
He said there'll be consequences within our family.
Yes, there you go. And that's basically saying you screwed up. We're pissed off at you. Now you're going to pay for it.
Stupid.
Just shut up, man. I mean, I'm so sick of these old-time baseball unwritten rules junk. Look, I was saying this before. If somehow the Twins come back, and they're a good team. They're not having a good year, but they're built to be a very good team, especially with the long ball. If this team somehow comes back and wins the game 16-15, you'd be pissed he didn't swing at that, knowing it could have been
47-mile-an-hour pitch.
Right. I mean, look, we were talking about this today in our network chat, and I forgot who said it. John, it may have been you or it may have been Jacob. I forgive me, I don't remember. You'll know it when I say it. You'll remember who said it.
Yeah.
If you don't want it to happen, don't put position players in.
Yep.
I'm sorry, but you throw a 47-mile-per-hour fastball, not even fastball, whatever ball you want to call it.
Yeah, playing softball at that point.
I mean, you're lobbing it to him. He's going to swing at it if it's a home run ball. It's called insurance runs. Anybody that knows anything knows you can never have too much insurance.
Also, the guy's a rookie. So when his contract eventually comes up, that's one more at bat where he got an extra base hit, where he got a home run, where he got a ribby, where he got a run.
Had your stats.
Those things matter when contract negotiations come up. You may think, well, it's just one home run in his career. But you know what? These things all add up when the dude is going to try and get paid. Every player deserves to get paid. So why? And they're playing for fun. It's a game for fun. You're up 15-4. Who cares?
You talk about it making a difference. Let's say, for argument's sake, Without that home run, he finishes 29 home runs on the season.
Yep.
With it, he hits 30. 30 sounds a heck of a lot better than 29. He broke the 30 mark. That's pretty impressive.
Typically, there's like incentives when you
Absolutely.
reach a plateau.
Absolutely. But it just looks better too. Just 30 versus 29. Well, you tell me what sounds better.
Yeah.
Right? The 30, you hit the
or
3.
What if it's,
that's impressive.
What if it's a difference between 299 and 300 batting average?
Absolutely.
That matters.
What if it's, if it changes his OPS from, let's say, under 900, and he just because of that, he's going to, with getting a thing like that, instead of maybe striking out or whatever, right? He ends up above 1,000.
Or what if he gets Rookie of the Year because he had one more RBI than the guy behind him, and he gets Rookie of the Year? And those things, whenever you go to get a contract, those awards go onto your resume. You get to use as leverage. So, and like I said, the game is for fun. You're up 15-4. Who cares? He swung at a pitch. Who cares? Your team scored more runs. That's good. You want your team to score runs. Who cares?
I hate it.
And if you're the Twins, because the announcers for the Twins were going crazy.
Upset.
They were like, I don't like it. Well, guess what? If you don't like it, stop it. If you can't stop it, well, then too bad.
Play better.
Get stopped. If you don't like it, too bad.
Like I said, don't put a position player to pitch then if you don't want that to happen.
Yep. When the Dolphins got beat.
That's the fun part of the game when that happens.
Absolutely.
When the Dolphins got beat 63-7 against the Jags in the playoffs, guess what? Wah. They earned it.
It happens.
They earned it. If we didn't like it, that we should have done better. Play better.
But you know
what? You don't like it, too bad.
I always say it's going to be the one time that the team decides I'm not going to hit that home run, and then they lose by a run in the bottom of the ninth by some incredible miracle comeback. And then it's going to be, why didn't they hit that home run? Why didn't they swing at these pitches?
Remember,
right? The narrative changes so quickly.
Imagine if Reggie Miller gave up against the Knicks. Imagine that, JB. You remember that? Imagine if Reggie Miller gave up against the Knicks. Never would have happened.
Happy right now.
Yeah. Say he didn't give up, he didn't quit, and he came
JB,
back.
You're going to be a lot happier talking about this.
You know what? I hate Reggie Miller, but I love that. Because that's killer instinct.
I agree.
It was heartbreaking and it sucked, but it was so great to watch.
I agree.
We gotta wake JB up. You're like sleeping. We gotta wake you up.
No. There's so many things going on. We got plans coming up for the summer with the MLB, football, working behind the scenes, guys. You know what's going on.
Oh yeah.
No, but you know what, JB, you just hit on probably the most important thing though. It's killer instinct. You're right. I love that about players. No quit, to me, screams competitor. And I love that. That's what I want in a player.
So what happens if this guy gets suspended or fined? Because there would be discipline, apparently, according to Tony La Russa. What happens? The MLB,
he better watch what he does, because he is going to piss him off. And you don't want to ruin a young star like that. You don't want to ruin the relationship that quickly.
Well, also, I mean, I would imagine the players would turn on you if the players know that if they swing at a 3-0 pitch up 15-4 and they hit a home run, they get in trouble for it. I would imagine these players have their guys back and they start turning on La Russa. I would turn on my manager if my guy got fined or suspended because he swung at a pitch up 15-4. I get it if it's a 5-5 game and your manager's like, hey, don't swing, and then you do and you ground out double play. That's different.
I hate this stupidity. If you're up by 10, you should be up by 15. And if you're up by 20, you should be up by 30. There's no such thing as stopping.
I agree. And the other thing is,
it's not Little League.
The other important thing is, I don't like that La Russa's like, I told you not to swing at it. Don't. He saw a good pitch. I'm sorry. What do you if it's a 5-5 game and you want him to walk and he just lets a good pitch go and then ends up striking out, right? Or he then swings at something else because you tell him to swing now, right? And he grounds out. Now you look bad.
Well,
why?
What happens?
Because he trusted his instincts. He saw a pitch that was good.
If his average goes down because he gets out, the organization will use less. He has less average, less hits. In his career, whenever they come to negotiate, it's only one at bat, but every at bat
can be the difference.
Yep. So, it's just stupid. It's absolutely dumb. These unwritten rules need to go away. It's just it's crazy because there was no class by La Russa there, but then you had the Braves and Mets game where Kevin Pillar accidentally got plunked in the face, which was awful.
Yep.
And you saw visibly the Atlanta Braves pitcher was really upset that it happened. The pitching coach came over to talk to him, to try and console him. That was class.
Absolutely.
That was people showing, that they cared. It was more than a rivalry. Kevin Pillar said after the game, whenever he came up to the podium, he said, I wish nothing but the best for that guy. Don't feel bad. It happens. I'll be all right. You just keep doing you, and you just keep trying to get better, and don't worry about this. And that's to his division rival. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there was class all the way around in that, but yet La Russa is completely classless over a 3-0 pitch in a 15-4 game. It's dumb.
It's that old school unwritten garbage that I'm so sick of. But whatever, it is what it is. I was not happy when I read about that because I was like, really? I wanted to be like, La Russa, shut up. You won the game. Who cares? That's what mattered at the end of the day. Is you win the game. Yes. Okay. Great. Shut up about it.
Horrible.
These unwritten rules need to just stop. I wish there could be a rule in the rule book that says all unwritten rules no longer exist or apply.
That's why they're unwritten.
Right? But I almost wish we could have a rule that nullifies all the rules that aren't written as is, which would be so ironic. But I wish, because I'm so sick of them.
It's just crazy. It's stupidity.
It is.
It is, but what are you gonna do?
You know what I was thinking too? This extra inning thing. It kills me because you have guys on second base. I think they need to change the whole win in baseball. They need to go to a hockey system because if you get to extra innings, then you put a guy at second base, you get nothing. That's horrible.
Yeah, I don't like it.
It doesn't count against anybody's ERA.
Yeah, it doesn't matter though.
It's weird how it works.
I think they should go to a 3-2-1, point system. That a win is 3 points. An extra inning loss is 1 point, and just an extra inning wins 2 points.
Sure.
This way,
Yeah.
Well, I think it should be. I think it should be what hockey exactly is 2-1. You get 1 point for making extra innings, and if you win, you get the extra point. If you don't, you just sit at the 1.
But I get what
I get what you're saying.
That's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
I like that. I love that about hockey because it rewards a team for making the effort to at least force overtime, especially in games that
you showed you were able to go toe to toe with the other team the entire game.
Not even that. I mean, yes, absolutely. But it's also, if you're down 2-0 in a game and you score 2 goals to end the game, right, in the last 3 minutes, you deserve a point, even if you don't win the game. Why? Because you made an incredible effort to nearly win the game. Exactly. At least give yourself a chance to win the game.
I agree.
So I do agree with that. I think all sports should do that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, because to me, you're not changing any of the other games. Well, football does with their overtime rules too.
Yeah.
Maybe they could do something with that. Maybe that'll make overtime less controversial in the NFL. But I definitely think for baseball, with the guy starting on second, it's just horrible. It's just a horrible rule.
It's not.
It just feels
not fair.
It feels like the MLB's reaching for offense to be.
They are
had in the MLB. They're just reaching for more runs to be scored.
Yeah, I mean they are, but it's also just they're trying to end extra inning games faster. But I don't want that. If that's how my team's gonna win, I don't want it.
Sometimes it's fun, waking up and you saw there's an 18 inning.
I love that
18 inning game like that. That's crazy.
I love it. I'm right there with you. I love seeing that. That makes me so happy. Why? Because it's That's what baseball's about. A pitcher's duel where nobody can score, or nowadays, maybe a high-flying offense against the other high-flying offense. Whatever it is, I like that better. But
I agree, and that's what makes hockey so great with like the playoffs is the 3, 4, 5 overtime games that you see every once in a while.
Sure.
So
doesn't happen often, but it happens.
5 last year, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's why it's like baseball went away from that. Extra innings
that 5 overtime game may have been one of my favorite hockey games of all time. Why? Because it was just like endless, and I loved it. I loved every second. And honestly, I think my favorite part about it, really, the better team wins out. Always. Always, because it's whoever fought harder ends up winning. And that's what I want baseball and all the sports to be. I want whoever wins earned it, not just basically got handed it because they got one hit and scored a guy off of second, which is, it's hard, but it's not as hard as, taking that guy off a single and then moving him from first all the way home. It's harder. It takes more effort.
I agree.
It requires multiple hits.
It makes a big difference. It makes all the difference.
It does. But anything else?
Nope, that's about it for me.
I figure. We're running a little long, which no big deal. Yeah. All right. I'll start with John. John, where can they find you?
You can find me Sideline Sports Network, obviously. NBA Carousel Monday nights. NFL Carousel during the fall. That'll be coming back. That should be fun. You can find me Blue Hawks 13 on Twitter. And then from time to time on the Sports Arena, you can find that on YouTube. Check that out with Eric Wilson. Covers the Toronto Raptors and the Orlando Magic. Then Alex Fleming, who covers the Orlando Magic as well, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. So you're going to want to check all of that out, all that good fun stuff.
JB?
Well, I'm here on Sideline Sports, obviously. So make sure you pay attention here. Then we got JB_the program on Twitter. The NFL Carousel covering the Chargers, producing the NBA Carousel, the program which should be back in a few weeks. And any other place I choose to show up. You never know where that may be.
You guys can always find me on here every Tuesday night on Sideline Sports. Sometimes you catch me on the NBA Carousel. I'll be back behind the scenes, but I will be there helping out when JB can't. So sometimes I'm there. You guys can also find me on Twitter at Jake_Malik. And more importantly, you can find all of your Sideline Sports stuff on whatever social media you use. Instagram and Twitter, we are Sideline Sport 1. YouTube, Facebook, we are Sideline Sports. You just look us up. We're also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you find your podcasts. We are there. Find us there. And if you don't want to see our faces, which I think you might want to, we're pretty fun, you can always go to those audio-only versions. But I think that's it. Anything else? Did I miss anything?
Nope.
Tie-dye. Show the tie-dye shirt one more time.
Tie-dye shirt. My beautiful Wawa Hoagie Fest shirt. I almost wore it for the show. And the back is my favorite. Peace, love, and hoagies. Anybody that calls it a sandwich, a sub, you're wrong. It's a hoagie.
It's a sandwich.
You're wrong. You are wrong. It is a hoagie, and I'm not arguing with this. The show is about to end, but it is a hoagie, John. It's a hoagie. All right. Anything else, though? For real? Anything else?
Nope.
All right. And that's it for us. Everybody, have a good night.